Alright guys, welcome to Goober's Masterclass. I'm not a master. On today's video, I'm going to teach you how to fine-tune your own language models without knowing any code, because I'm going to give it to you, okay? So, first of all, OpenAI now lets you fine-tune their GPT models, and I'm going to go into a little introduction on how you can do that for your business to create your own language models for your use cases and when it's applicable, okay? So, I'm just going to hop in right into the video. I'm going to shrink myself. So first of all, I'm going to give you a little example of what I understand about fine-tuning, because there's a lot of, everyone is using their own different definitions. This is the definition I got from PhD AI researchers who have been in it in a decade. The way I understand it, there's two things you can do when creating your own AI models. So first, you have pre-trained models, okay, PT, just call it PRET, and that's using something like GPT-3. You know, you got Facebook Llama, you got Falcon, you got, all this BERT, all that other crazy stuff. And the only other second option you have is do it yourself, make your own LLM. Now, this is obviously harder. It takes a lot of GPU, and you would need a lot of computational power. Okay, it's expensive, it takes a lot of resources. It's a hard thing to do. So the way AI has become that's allowing people like me with very beginner, no background in programming and very beginner into this field, be able to produce my own models is through fine-tuning. It's like the decentralization of technology access. So fine-tuning is using a pre-trained model. So these companies, they did their own DIY and they made them open source. So you got all these models that have been trained. And as a result, you can take these models, add in your own data, and have something that's your own language model. So you don't have to build it from scratch. You can just build upon what's already been made. However, there's limitations to this, and these limitations also guide what you can do with it. They do serve a lot of use cases for what you and I want to do. And the added benefit is privacy. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about privacy. So a good example of what's going on here, just to make things simpler, OpenAI has GPT. This is their own LLM that they've created, right? And the fine-tuned version is ChatGPT, the app everyone uses. So you're using the fine-tuned app of OpenAI, of their pre-trained models. So now what you can do is take a pre-trained model. It's not going to be functioning like ChatGPT because that's the fine-tuned version that they've trained it to talk like this. You're going to get like the infant version, but that's already trained on their, the data that they fed it. But it's dumb. So if you try and just talk to a pre-trained model without fine-tuning it, it'll give you really weird answers. It'll repeat things. It'll just complete words. It's using the language processing, but it's not been fine-tuned to know or given instructions how to talk to you. It's just using the math, right? So you can take this and train it something custom to you. And the best part about fine-tuning is you have privacy. So now when you talk to ChatGPT, they use the data from ChatGPT to feed their own models and to make it better. So the data people talk to ChatGPT is being used to train their models even more. However, when you use fine-tuning, this is according to their documentation, you are creating something that is they're not training their models on your data that you're fine-tuning with. And additionally, when you use API requests, so let's say you don't want to fine-tune, but you want to use the API request to use ChatGPT into your own app, you are also having privately secure data. They don't train their models on fine-tuning and their API request. So this is the major benefit that you need to know. So if you've got sensitive information and you want to join this AI race for your own business, but you don't want to be having your data available to everybody else, you want to fine-tune or use API request. But API request doesn't let you train it on your data. Fine-tuning does. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to provide the code for you. Okay, took me a while to get this, and I know if you're a beginner, it's pretty intense. So you're going to have it copy pasted. You don't got to sign up. You don't got to do anything. I'm just going to leave a link in the description, and you can just copy paste the code. Okay, anyways, without further ado, we're going to hop into some of the projects we're going to do here. So this is Zero Gravity Mind. It's one of my favorite Twitter pages that I like to follow whenever I need some motivation. And what I'm going to do is create a fine-tuned version of ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo and feed it these tweets so that I make a Zero Gravity Mind mentor that I can chat with. Okay. Another thing I wanted to mention, which I'll probably get into later, is there's two ways when trying to create use cases. If you're just trying to search a document and you want the AI to read through the data, there's something called vector embedding. Okay. Now this is something I'm not entirely experienced in. I've given it a go. Haven't fully understood it, so I'm not going to make a video on it just yet. Maybe later when I've understood it. But fine tuning has a different use case than you trying to do semantic search or vector embedding to use pre-trained models or AI to like sift through information. Fine tuning is teaching it patterns and tonality and making it speak like you speak, or in this case, we're going to try and get it to speak like Zero Gravity Mind, which is an account that gives pure value to leaders. So it's like more of like a mindset knowledge mentor. Okay, so that's what we're going to use for today's experiment. Now, if you're the owner of ZGM, don't be afraid, because none of this is going to be trained on their models. It's all going to be private. The model is going to be private, and I can delete it if you don't want it. But yeah, so it's all good. It's all good, buddy. Okay, so you want to keep this open, Tokenizer on OpenAI, and this is from the documentation. So this is how you're supposed to format your data when you're going to feed it to OpenAI to fine tune the model. Okay, it has to be in this format. So when I downloaded the tweets, I put it into a CSV file, and let me see if I can just. Now here I've already edited it, but basically most fine tuning across multiple models is instruction, question, answer. Some of them don't have instruction. However, today I'm just going to be focused on OpenAI because that's the one I've got working. The other ones I'm still tinkering with, trying to figure out. When I do, I'll make a video and I'll give you the code. Right now, I've already used the format for the JSON lines format for OpenAI, but when I downloaded it, I did not have this format. Obviously, I had to do it. I did 100 rows, did 100 examples here, and I formatted it manually. You can probably use a code to create this. Some people give it to ChatGPT to create it, but I didn't want to give this information to ChatGPT for privacy issues. Again, I could have done an API, but I'm like, this is just for an experiment. Didn't take me too long to do this, so I just created it myself and extracted it into the format. So again, you want to follow this format. It's going to look like this: system, content. This is what Marv, your factual chatbot, and then what the user will say, and then you'll have the output. So here we got Zero Gravity Mind, your wisdom coach who gives pure value to leaders, and then what the user would typically enter, and then the answer would be the tweet, the wisdom. Okay, so that's what we're going to train it on. You want to keep the instruction, from my understanding, the same. You can change the user reply, as you can see here. They use the same system prompt. The user prompt can be different, and then the answer is obviously always different. You can play around with this, see what you can create. Anyways, you can read this documentation on your own. I just want to show you the format. So once I extracted the tweets, I formatted it, and I put it into a text file. Now, let me show you the code that I created. So this is the code. This API will be invalidated by the time you see this video, and you can keep this code. I'm going to share it with you in the link in the description. So yeah, I'm using Replit here. I just find it's easier on using Replit. You don't have to. You can do this on VS Code. You can do it on whatever code editor thing you're doing. I use Replit because I don't have to deal with all the file path creation stuff that usually I just run into a lot of errors. I'm comfortable on this, and there's ways to hide your API on Replit. One thing, if you're going to use Replit, the free version, your repos will be public. The paid version is like $7 a month. It lets you keep your repos private. So if you're going to be doing things for privacy, you want to make sure you're on the paid version and make sure that your replets are private. Otherwise, people can see your code, they can see your whatever you're doing, and it's public. They can even copy it. So you can even hide your API with Replit using their secrets here, which I can show you. For example, I'll show you in the other code right now. Let me just, it's not to get too segued. Point is, this is the code. What we're going to do is we're going to upload the file of the tweets into here. So it's easy. Just upload it, and then we're going to go. You can't see this part of my screen, obviously, but okay. So I uploaded Zero Gravity Mind. This is what it's going to look like on the text file. So you don't want to upload a CVS for OpenAI. What you want to do is put it into a regular text file, whatever. It's going to look like this. So you want each line to be one example, which is the content, the user, and the assistant reply is going to be one example, and you're going to have like one line. It's going to be considered as one line. So I did it all the way here, all the 102 examples, and we're going to just submit that. So this code should work for you. Just make sure if it isn't working, then you go to the shell here and you import the libraries or whatever. if you run into any issues. So main thing is that you write the name of the file right here that you've uploaded. Make sure you put the dot. And once I run it, it'll submit the file and we should get uploaded successfully. And this is the main part, is that you want to save the file ID when it generates it for you. So we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to run it. Okay, it's going to submit the file. Here we go. Oh, it's downloading the OpenAI library thing. Oh, we got an error. So again, this is why you got to be careful with the format. It's telling me that line number 5, it's not a valid JSON. So I probably made a mistake in the formatting here. So when you do this, you want to be careful not to use Microsoft Word, because sometimes when you copy paste it, the format of these quotations can get skewed and become curly. And if it's curly, it won't be read as a JSON file. Another thing, it could be something. Let me see. Let's see what it is. Even though it's supposed to be valid, you're not supposed to put quotations within the prompts. It should be okay from my understanding of JSON, but for some reason, every time I did that, it didn't work. So I'll just put brackets. You can put brackets. You can put like bullet points, dollar signs, percentage signs. That's not the issue. What you want to make sure is, let's see what's possibly wrong with this formatting. Oh, here it is. You see there's a double quotation here, which is incorrect. So delete that. I think we should be able to run it again. There you go. File uploaded successfully. Now you want to save this file ID because you're going to need it later. Copy. Okay. Now once you've got your file ID, you're going to open another file folder, just to start a new project. I found this is the easiest way to do it. One project for file upload, just do another one to create the fine-tuning job. So here, what you're going to do is go into file ID and you're going to enter the ID that you just retrieved. You're going to paste it here. Boom. And then everything else you can keep it the same. Now here I set the number of epochs, which is like the amount of training cycles it's going to go through your data. Now if you don't do this, you don't have to. By default, OpenAI will determine based on the amount of your data how much training cycles it will put your data through. But after doing some research for my specific project that I've been trying to create a project for, not ZGM, something different, I found that 16 to 32 is a good number to really get the best accurate results. So I've set my own, and the way to do this, you do that. If you don't want this, you can just delete the number of epochs, delete this. And by default, I think for my amount of data for the experiment that I gave, it was giving a 4 or 5 default. I'm not sure if that's all across the board, but that was on the amount of data, which is like 40 lines that I gave it, 30 lines. So for this one, I'm going to keep it at 16. Just keep in mind that even though more cycles makes it smarter, the more you cycle the training, one, you're going to have to pay for it, right? It costs more because it's going through multiple runs. And two, it's going to take longer to fine tune. Again, that depends how much data you have. Here we have 100 examples. I'm going to keep it at 16, and then we'll see how long that takes and how much the cost is. So I think uploading the file is free, or maybe it's so cheap because it's like a fraction of a penny or something. But when you fine tune, I think it's going to cost up to a couple dollars, but we'll check that out later. So anyways, I'm going to run this and we should have no errors. Again, it's updating the package. Just going to wait for this guy. Oh. So I've discovered the issue. I ran this code. It told me exactly where the problem was, line 19. I don't know why the file was submitted successfully though. It was right here where I didn't look at the line. So each line should start as a message. So if you run into errors, don't worry. Where did I fix that? There you go. Just going to double check, make sure there's no other mistakes. All right, so I've troubleshooted a lot of the format, checked the status code. Hopefully this time it should work as expected. So I'm going to run it. There we go. Fine-tuning job created successfully. Again, save this ID. You're going to need it for the last code in order to deploy your fine-tuned model once it's done. So this could take 20, 30 minutes. I'm not sure. Right now the time is 2:29. I'm going to see when it's done, and I'll give you an approximate time for that set of data and those number of training cycles, and we'll see how this experiment goes. Hopefully I have a good feeling about it. I think it should be able to generate responses in the style of ZGM, but we shall see for ourselves. Now, what you can do is actually check the progress of this fine-tuning job. So you want to take that ID, you want to copy it, and then you're going to go to the check progress code that I provided for you. And you're going to put the job ID right here, kabam, and then you're going to run it. let it download its packages. So this, because it can take some time. So if you want to just check the progress, you can use this code. Well, it's still training and you can see the details. Now we just got to wait. I'll see you when it's done. So while the fine-tuning job is being created, I'm going to just give you a little things to look out for as you're doing this. Now here, the biggest problems you're going to face is in file formatting and formatting your data. Everything else, as you can see, is just a click of a button and the jobs and everything's created for you. If you're running into any issues where it says file invalid or unable to process this, or maybe it says file successful, but then when you run the fine-tuning job, it says file processing, not ready. Typically, I've found that when it says it's processing and like a lot of time passes, if it's more than 5 minutes, again, this is with the data set of 100 examples, it is usually an indication there's something wrong with your file, because I've had it where it says file processing for hours and days and it's still processing. There was an error in the way I formatted the examples, and you can use this tokenizer to keep within the limits of these examples. Now you can make these examples as big as you want, as long as they're within the limits. You can put up to 4,000 tokens. So for example, let me just take one example here, copy that, put it in the tokenizer. You can see here it's 100 tokens. So you can make this way longer, way, like 1,000 times longer, probably 100 times. And it would still be within the 4,000 token limit per example. So you can really stretch it out. For example, if you're trying to make summaries, if you're trying to maybe show it a long test and then summarize it into the output that you want, if maybe the output is longer or vice versa, maybe the instruction is very intricate, whatever it is, you have about a 4,000 token limit to get it to make each example, which is plenty of room. It's like about 3 pages on a Word document for just one example. And again, part of the troubleshooting I was doing now was because there were things in the code that were just formatting issues. Like there was an extra quote somewhere. There was I accidentally copy pasted the same line twice by accident, and this could like totally invalidate your data. So obviously the best way to do this is not manually. You want a code that does it robotically and systematically, especially when you're training hundreds and thousands of data pieces. You would probably want a script to do that, because when a human is doing it, there's plenty of ways you can accidentally copy paste something or make one dot, and then you have to go through the examples again and using the status script that I made just to check where the mistakes were. So again, if you're running into these issues, it's typically your data format. It should be fast, at least up to the point where it says fine-tuning job created successfully. It should be just instant. Okay, but I've only done this with hundreds of examples, so I can't speak for certainty. If you did thousands of examples, it would be this quick. But in my understanding, the time it takes is in the fine-tuning process, not in uploading process. So yeah, just keep that in mind. This is a very helpful tool. When in doubt, go back to the documents. Everything you need is in these documents. And this is different from fine-tuning stuff through Hugging Face or Llama or Lemon.ai. And they have a different way they want data formatted. In my understanding, open source models are just question and answer, and that should be enough in a file. You don't have to format it exactly this way that OpenAI gave it. You can check the data that model, pre-trained model, was trained on, and you can copy that for the fine-tuning process for your use case. And I foresee that the biggest challenge here and the most time-consuming is formatting the data and the prompts in a way that really make the fine-tuning job successful. So with this, we'll be able to see in this experiment how effective it is for ZGM. And additionally, I'm going to show you how to add the API as a secret variable in if you decide to use Replit. So in Replit or any other stuff, you don't want your API key private to be visible like this, because it can compromise you. So in Replit, there's this feature where I'm going to copy it right here. I'm going to uncomment this. It's called the secret variable. So it'll hide your API key into this environment, and you have to use a specific code for it. So right now it says fine tune run. What you go is to this lock symbol right here, use secret. Then you can take this API key, copy it, add the value, name it whatever you want. So zero gravity mind, add the secret, copy that, just replace the name, boom, and then you can actually just delete that altogether and it'll still run the same way, because now the key is hidden under here and it protects your API key. For me, I'm just gonna keep this for the sake of simplicity, and yeah, just want to show you how it's done. All right, so that was the longest fine-tuning job I've ever done. 100 examples. I think the 16 training cycles was what really did it. I waited 1 hour and 20 minutes. Again, that's really fast as compared to building your own thing. It's nothing. And let's see how much it costs actually. Let's see if they're going to show me. it was about $1.20. Again, nothing, $1.20 to have your own chatbot that speaks in your style. So anyways, now that we got the fine-tuning job ID, I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna show it to you. Okay, just copy it from my email, paste it here, bada bang, and where are we at? Okay, so this is where we're gonna run it. You can use this code to run it. I'm just gonna enter my model ID right here, which is the code I got from the email. And then here, you want to enter the same system prompt that you did in the beginning. You can customize it. I have tested that out. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the data set, but I'm just gonna do this for this tutorial's sake. Okay, actually we don't need it from that point. Just delete most of this. Just get the content of it like that. I'm gonna go boom right here. Boop. Now, are you ready? This is the moment. Let me just double check everything's cool. Seems right. I'm gonna load the packages now. All right. Now I've also customized this to be like a chat interface, and that's the beauty of why I'm giving this to you. Like, you skip a lot of the things you'd have to do to make it look visually pleasing. Obviously, this is like the back end. Okay, to make the front end of the app and put on a website or your phone, there's a whole different development process. It's just showing you, train the data, get the fine-tuning job done, and start talking. So, you're like, hi, who are you? Oh my God. Pause. All right, so that was because I did not set this variable here. It was like off the secret, so I just copied this part, put this part. Now if I run it, should be okay. Hi, who are you? So it's loading. Oh, my name is the most important thing I ever had. Okay, all right, maybe that's not exactly what you're used for. You're supposed to say, I am zero gravity mind. Okay, what do you do? Oh, wait, I get it. My name's the most important thing I never had. He's actually so, like, philosophical. He won't even identify that his name is Zero Gravity Mind. That's so cool, actually. So he learned from the data and how those tweets are created that the most important thing, that's actually pretty cool. I coach God on how to be better for humans. Oh! That's totally not what I trained it. Okay, but that's just... okay, this is hilarious. Okay. Let's ask it a wisdom question. I feel like giving up on my business. What should I do as a founder? A little complex, but let's see what he says. That's crazy. I did not expect these answers. It's too enlightened. Now, I don't like this wisdom thing. I did not want it to print that, but it's because of the way I prompted it. So you can reprompt it to get rid of that. Never quit, never die. Dance with obsession until victory or failure bring the music to an end. #founder. Wow. How do I deal with failure? And it has memory, so it can retain what I just told it because of this code. Failure is never the problem. Failure to get back up is the problem. All in, #forever. That's really cool. So we know it's working. Here, let me just ask it one more question. My wife won't give me peace. What should I do? So you can keep tweaking this prompt over here till it says better answers. I mean, maybe for the format, maybe so it doesn't say wisdom. But this guy's like crazy. ZGM, what in the world? The virtue of a woman is testing a man's manhood, which holds and leads her family together with unwavering standards and love. Man must be rock. Man must be virtuous too. Set the standard. #be better. #rejoice. Okay, this is too much fun. Okay, one last question. I'll give it. What is your name? Last time I asked it, who are you? My name is the most important. Yeah, said it again. Okay. Who is zero gravity mind? See if it's self-aware enough, or maybe it's just too enlightened. So, what else did I want to tell you guys about this? I coach God. Oh, he's saying the same thing. Interesting. Huh. Well, you can keep playing around with this prompt to get the answers better. You can change the data to get it more aligned with the answers that you want. But as you can see here, this is pretty awesome. This was a very good experiment for a back end. Now, obviously, the more data you give it, the better. One thing I did forget to tell you is, where is it? It mentions here that you need about 10 examples of data lines to provide for the model. However, I'm just trying to find the actual thing, token limits. Okay, here it is. You're required to give at least 10 examples, but we typically see clear improvements, 50 to 100 training examples. But the right number varies based on the exact use case. We recommend starting with 50 well-crafted demonstrations, see if the model shows signs of improvement. In some cases, it may be sufficient, but the model's not yet production quality. You can keep adding more data until you improve the model. So I gave it 102, and I put 16 epochs. Now, obviously, if I wanted the more nuanced ZGM, I would give it thousands of examples. However, this is something really great. Let me just ask it one more question. How do I become the best? How do I become a billionaire? What does it say? Demean yourself to serve others for free. Here, let me show you. Let me give you the real enchiladas. Demean yourself to serve others for free. God will take care of you and handle the rest. Wow. And then God will give you everything. Hashtag ZGM. Whoa. So again, to create this into an app, you need to do a whole front-end development, but you've got the model, and then all you'd have to do is probably create some HTML or some Flask, and then, you know, put the model ID, and it should request to the model. One thing I haven't figured out is how to make it faster. So you can see sometimes we're waiting a little bit. I would need to double check on the documentation to see how we can do it faster, but hope this experiment was great. Do subscribe if you want to see how I fine tune other models I'm developing, as well as more AI no-code entrepreneurs who want to get into this. I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to figure out if it's all just hype or if people like us can actually penetrate without having to become full-fledged developers with PhDs, okay? Because, you know, when I spoke to the people who work in these fields and who develop these GPUs and everything, they were telling us that their companies are structuring things in a way to make it accessible for people who, you know, they're basically reducing that barrier of entry. And I'm trying to see if it's real by actually being in the trenches. And I'm going to update through these videos as well as teach the things that took me a while to develop. I gave you this code. It actually took me the whole week to get the hang of this. So hopefully this can help you skip a beat and you can start doing some cool stuff. Let me know in the comments. This is Goober checking out. Thank you if you've made it this far, and see you guys on the next one.